Hey everybody, welcome. I think you're going to have a good time today and learn a lot, especially if you're interested in whitewater racing at all. So there's two main types of racing I'm going to cover in the next 2 weeks. Today, this week, we're going to cover Boatercross. So Boatercross is a super fun event that you can find at a lot of the hometown throwdowns. You can find them at a lot of the regional events. It's also a very it's a very tricky event. Like if you want to dominate in Boatercross, you've got to have some tricks up your sleeve. So today we're going to learn some of those tricks. So I've never really put out hey there, Roxy. I've never put out any videos before how to win Boatercross. There's a reason for that. Today, Dane Jackson and a lot of the top paddlers are up in Canada for Unleashed, and they're doing Boatercross today. By the time this video comes out, it'll be too late. I think Dane has most of these tricks up his sleeve already, so it should be an interesting race. So let's get this thing started. There's a lot to learn, and this should be a lot of fun. Meanwhile, if you haven't done already, hit the subscribe button, which is, I don't know which side it's on. But anyway, hit that button, and then that way you'll get notifications when the next one comes out. So next week we're going to do just straight creek racing. See you in a second. Okay, here we go. So the first type of Boatercross we're going to talk about is just straight down racing. That's where there's no upstream gates. We're going to cover how to do a start. We're going to cover the fact that Boatercross has a lot of random variables, meaning there's no official Boatercross rules. So each organizer uses a different rule, different way to start. Some of them have one that's more fair to people that are really fast, meaning like they'll have a qualifier and then you get pole position, blah, blah, blah. Some of them are totally random, so you could be completely disadvantaged even though you are the fastest one out there. Anyway, they're all different, so I'm going to give you the different scenarios and how to do well. But the first thing let's take a look at some vintage footage. Gorge Games, Hood River, Oregon. Check this out. This is a straight on one. See some old school boaters right here. Check
the White Salmon River for men's head-to-head kayak competition.
As we look at the mouth of the White Salmon as it empties into the Columbia River Gorge, fairly placid and quiet, but as we move farther upstream, a far different story is being told as 51 of the best paddlers have gathered to go head-to-head, led by Eric Jackson. Our oldest competitor in the field at 36 years of age, but also coming off a win at the Pre-Worlds in Spain, and joined in the semifinals by his best friend, Dan Gavir. In the semifinal, coming out of BZ Corners, Eric Jackson with his usual fast start. Keith Lyles and Ethan Winger, top paddlers also in this semifinal. Jackson with his signature finish would advance along with his pal Dan Gavir. In the other semi-final, Jay Kincaid. Come from about 100 miles downstream, if you will, from Eugene, Oregon. Been paddling for 9 years and trying to advance through this tough field. He's been less than 100% throughout. Brandon Knapp, a top paddler from Medford, Oregon, number 26, in third place currently, having some problems. But Ross Henry and David Persolia get upside down in Maytag, and so the finals are set. Jay Kincaid, Brandon Knapp will take on Eric Jackson and Dan Gavir. Today hasn't been ruined very often here on the White Salmon at the Subaru Gorge Games. He was runner-up last year, looking for a win today, again over his old buddy Eric Jackson. And Arlene, that's going to be a real challenge.
I think Eric is definitely one of the more cocky, might be the word, and aggressive paddlers here, and that will be an advantage today. Brandon Knapp, very confident paddler, at home on these steep creeks, extreme paddler, but not as aggressive as Eric. And Jay Kincaid, a local favorite, absolutely solid. He was a wrestler in high school, fell in love with paddling. He'll be definitely one to watch here.
Ready for the start for the men's head-to-head kayak finals, and not often, Arlene, that kayakers go head-to-head, but Eric Jackson seems to thrive on this.
It's definitely a major advantage to get into the front early on. Eric's got only the river in front of him, and the other kayakers have to place themselves with the river and the other boaters.
Jackson threw Maytag cleanly, but in a little trouble here.
I think he's fine. He's right on his line. Actually, you rarely go straight down a river in kayaking because you want to keep your nose up so it doesn't dive.
And maybe more than a little cocky past the second gate. Eric Jackson in control and easily a winner.
And Dan Gavir, a clean second. Here, Jay Kincaid gets stalled out in this last hole, and Brandon passes him for third place. Jay Kincaid in fourth.
EJ enjoying the action back upstream. That battle going on as he goes over to congratulate our runner-up for the second year in a row, Dan Gavir. Good final, but no surprise, our final standings, Jackson Gavir, Brandon Knapp, and Jay Kincaid. And our winner is standing by now with Craig Hummer.
Okay, well, that was fun. That's from year 2000. That's a while ago. But the one thing I can tell you is that Boatercross has not changed one bit in terms of the technique or the skills that are needed in order to win and do well. So, like I said, there's a lot of different formats. So let's get into some of the options here. Okay, start off with how they do this start. So most Boatercrosses, especially the bigger events, they'll do a qualifying race. Qualifying race is where you run the course as a time trial, one at a time, and then they'll seed you based on your qualifying speed. So if you're the fastest person, you get two things happen. One, the fastest person goes against the slowest person, and then the two middle. Anyway, it's a bracketed system. So the idea is that they don't put all the fastest people in one heat and eliminate, two of the four fastest people right away. Another part of the format, typically the top two people in each heat of four move on, not just the winner. So that means you can get first or second and make it to the finals. And obviously to win finals, you got to be first. All right, so if there's a qualifier, clearly you want to be as fast as possible. And that is straight on racing. Next week we're going to get into how to be the fastest person straight down a river. All right, that's one. By winning the qualifier, not only does it seed you and determine the brackets, but typically it allows you to pick pole position. So based on your position within those four people, if you're the fastest one in the qualifier in your bracket, you typically get to choose your starting position. What does that mean? Well, there's four of you. You can start all the way on the left, second from right, or all the way right, for example. Now, not all the Boatercrosses start straight downstream. Sometimes they start on the side and you turn like this. That way is super easy to decide which way to go or what position to start in. If it's starting on the side of the river, 99% of the time you want to be the furthest downstream. Why? Because you turn, boom, and everybody's lined up behind you. But if it's a straight down stream, you want to start in the position that sets you in the fastest water, one. But ideally you start on the sides, not in the middle. I'll explain why. This is an EJ trick. Man, I can't believe I'm saying this out loud. I've never used this in coaching other than my team. But anyway, I guess I'll go ahead and do it. So by starting on the sides, when you're on the sides, everybody wants room. The last thing people want to do is be tangled up. If you're banging into each other, you can't take strokes. So anytime people tangle with each other, those people drop behind the one or two people that aren't tangling with each other. So rule number one, don't tangle with anybody. You want to have clean water on both sides. No contact with other boats and other paddles. Unless, of course, you're behind. Okay, we'll get into that later. That's another strategy. That's on the race. Now we're in the start. So if you're doing a side-by-side start, your objective is, of course, to choose the sides if you can. And once you're on the side, when it's like 10 seconds before, you kind of move. Let's say you're this one. In this case, that's me. In the last video, you move it in a little bit. Ooh, like that. Move it in. And then that gets this person to be, they shy away from you. They move over a little bit. And it kind of squeezes everybody a little bit. And then when it's like 4, 3, 2, do a draw stroke, and move away. And that gives you clear water, and it squeezes everybody else. Now, of course, that could be happening on the other side. If you're the one in the middle, you could be squeezing this person, whatever. But at the end of the day, that works most of the time. People don't want to be too tight in the start. So if you move over a little bit, they'll move over a little bit, and then one draw stroke, you can move away. You got clear water. Good stuff to know. Remember, you do not want to tangle with anybody. That's rule number one. Rule number 1 again is you want to be the fastest one off the start every time. Very simple. It's a race. You want to get in front and you want to stay there. If you're running the 100-yard dash, you don't want to be letting everybody get ahead of you and hope you can pass them. And in Boatercross, it's even worse. Passing is extremely challenging. We'll get into how to pass in a little bit. But rule number 1, give yourself room and don't tangle with everybody. Rule number 1, be the fastest off the start. And I'll teach you how to train for that. Basically, you need to have a very fast sprinting. Be able to sprint really fast, and you can train for that. How do you train for that? Practice 10-second sprints, full speed. Time yourself. Give yourself a little short thing, a little short course, and time yourself, and build up that sprint speed. The different types of starts. Now, every start has got little nuances and different in some way, but basically you've got ramp starts, you've got a standing start in the water, and you've got a running start. Now you can also do a backward start. A lot of times they'll start you pointed upstream, you've got to turn around. Each one is different in their own way, but each is the same in that your goal is to get off the start and get in the lead as quickly as possible, if not immediately. Now, based on where you are among those 4 people, it can be hard to get off the start first. So for example, if it's a start from the side of the river and everybody turns and you don't have pole position, you are not going to be in the lead. So you got to learn how to pass. We'll get into that later. Okay, check out a ramp start. In this case, there's no way to get an advantage on speed at the ramp because they don't let you touch the paddle, so you just slide in. So it's a matter of when you land, hit the gas as hard as you can. On this case, on my right, Olympic and world champion paddler Lucas Kohlbrenner takes the lead. There's another ramp start. Now notice I'm the guy on the left, and we have to turn to the right. You will never get the lead when you do that. You're kind of screwed on that kind of a start. So what you've got to do is just go as fast as you can, one, and then pass. Here's your passing technique number 1. See how I took the inside line? My boat touched the obstacle. That way there's no way somebody can squeeze between me and the obstacle. That is the rule number 1 for anytime you've got an upstream. Watch, I go on the inside, I push into the outside and sweep. And that dude sweeps around the other way. He's doing another passing technique. We're not going to get into that right now because I don't have any examples of it. And in that case, it didn't work anyway. So against the buoy, touch the buoy. Why? So there's no way anybody can squeeze on the inside. Always, always, always take that line. From there, of course, every single part of the race, you're trying to make sure that you paddle as well as possible, meaning don't make any time mistakes. That's a matter of knowing the lines. We're not going to get into that right away, but let's take a look at another one of those starts real quick. Okay, here we go. This is the same race. This is now finals though, so check it out. So back up on the ramp. Notice that I've got kind of screwed again. I mean, I'm all the way on the left. I have no idea why I had to start on the left again, but it means I know that I'm going to be in last place off the start. Boom, you land, everybody turns to the right. Ah, man. So anyway, it is a rough way to go, but sometimes you're in that situation and you've got to just do everything you can to pass. Let's take a look. Now those 2 guys on the left just tangled with each other, didn't they? That hurt. It slowed them down, allowed me to catch up. I'm taking the inside line, and of course I'm going absolutely full speed as fast as I can because it is absolutely necessary if you want to get a lead at all. So here we go, inside line again, trying to catch up. Got Dallas Voorhees in front of me. I'm not sure who that is to my left. I think that might be, I don't know who that is. Anyway, I actually kind of screwed that one up, so I'm going to land low. That particular was a not doing the course right. Right now I'm paddling hard up to try to catch up. So I'm going to take the high line across this wave. I don't know what you're learning here at the moment other than I'm trying to take a faster line in and hopefully catch up. Now I've got one more pass to do. See that dude in the red boat? I think I'm passing him here, but somehow he manages, right here, he takes a line and he manages to get ahead of me. Unbelievable. I was bummed about that, but let's take a look. I've got a pass coming up that I want you to learn this trick. This is when you're in a straight-on, head-to-head, side-by-side. How do you pass somebody? Now, I think I'm in the lead because you can see my GoPro. I can't even see the dude, right? And I turn and they're like, what? Where'd the dude in the red come from? another slalom racer recently, so he's been training hard. Now, watch this. I catch his attention. Hey, you! Hey! Boom, he looks. Boom, he misses a stroke. He sweeps. And I bounce off and take the lead. What was that? If you can get somebody to miss a stroke, and you do that by pinching your bow against where their stroke goes. That is how. Alright, watch this in slow motion. Notice I'm looking to my right. I'm watching my competitor. He's up slightly ahead of me, believe it, right there, and right here, boom, he goes to take a stroke. I bump his boat. That stroke causes him to spin out, and I turn and sprint back to the finish line. Now he's back on my wake. That is a good way to get ahead right there. Ooh, what do we got going on? Training. Next, here we go. Let's talk about training. All right. 2014 Sick Line race training coming up right now. Dane, Nick, and Alec is along for the ride. Should be fun. Doing 60 on and 60 off. Alright, we got some training going on here. So this is race training. This is perfect Boatercross training. This is 60 on, 60 off. What does that mean? 1 minute of sprinting with a minute rest and a minute sprint. And you make a loop, like you do the same course over and over, and you do it 5 times. So it's one of the most physically grueling things you can do. And it is absolutely positively at full speed. There's no pacing, even though you really, really, really want to pace, because you're going to be hating life by your 3rd run. You're going to feel like you're going to die. That's the lactic acid building up. But if you want to be faster than everybody in a 60-second course, which is typically about the length of a Boatercross, you had better be ready to rock and roll. So this is a way to get your physical side up to snuff. But also, it is important to mentally know what it's going to feel like when you're doing the race. You do not want to wonder whether you've got the power to go full speed from the beginning. You need to know what pace you can handle. Now notice the courses we're doing here. We're just basically taking a 60-second course, practicing a full speed start. Each of us are timing ourselves so we know how long it took us to do the course, so we're competing against each other. But you're competing against yourself. Your objective is to improve the technique on each course so that your actual course is done well. You're running the Whitewater well. You're doing the technique well. So it's not just that you are paddling hard with your eyes closed in any random direction. You're actually trying to maximize every stroke and maximize your boat line through the entire time, all while trying not to physically die and, crash and burn. But you, just like a 440 run, you're not going to be as fast at the very end as you are in the beginning. You're just going to be like, oh my God, that hurts. But that is part of the deal. If you want to win or get faster, training your body responds well. You get used to the lactic acid quickly, and you're able to handle that speed much more quickly, and your fast twitch muscles get stronger, and you learn to recover faster, and generally speaking, you get stronger. So it's a good way to go. That's a lot of stuff, and we have barely scratched the surface. Sorry about that, but that leaves more for later. Next week, we're going to cover just straight on racing. So you're going to learn how to pace, you're going to learn strokes, you're going to learn how to pick a line and how to get from the put in to the takeout, or from the start to the finish as fast as possible, giving your physical capabilities. And we'll go over some more physical training as well. Today we did 60 on, 60 off. Very cool. So thanks for joining me. I hope that was helpful. Like I said, there's more to it than that, but those are some of the key points. And if you remember, some of them were learn how to be fast enough to get pole position, learn how to start and get in front in the beginning, and there's different techniques for different starts. We didn't cover the backwards start. We'll have to do that another time. Also, learning how to pass. So learning how to pass is key. Passing in a straight line, I showed you a technique for that. The bump and go, learning to pass in with obstacles or upstream gates. I showed you how to do that. Inside of the turn, bump and go. Pretty fun stuff. Boatercross is a very fun sport. So maybe I'll see you in a Boatercross, and you'll know what I'm up to when we get out there. So see you next week. Don't forget to subscribe. Add comments so that you can give me input on what you want to see me do next. People were asking me how to do racing in my comments section. That's where this one came from. We'll see you next week, and thanks for joining me.